Good morning, good morning, good afternoon. You know it's afternoon. I'm Hank Phillip Ryan, and if you are here, you know that this is this edition of First Chapter Fun. This is the time when we see if Instagram will let us go live. So let me try that. I know I'm live here on Facebook. It looks like I am at least, but of course I can't see the comments. But one thing at a time. And we will try again on Instagram. Yes, now it is checking. It does seem to be hello to Instagram. Hello, hello. I always feel here on First Chapter Fun that I've really conquered something technology when Instagram actually works and when Facebook actually works. But of course, oh, look at that. And my goodness, the gods of technology are with us today. I can actually see the comments on Facebook. I'm Hank Phillip Ryan, and if you're here and welcome, you know that this is where every Tuesday and Thursday at 12:30 p.m. ET, Hannah Mary McKinnon, my partner in fictional crime, and I arrive to read you the first chapter of a fantastic new book. And this is episode 133, if you can imagine. We're live here on Instagram and here on Facebook, and I see your comments. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Kathleen Fox. Hi, Cat Law. So nice to see you. Debro is here on Facebook. When I look this way, that means I'm looking at the Facebook comments, which I'm so thrilled to see today. It's so much fun to actually see the comments. You never know. If you're a veteran here at First Chapter Fun, you know that sometimes Hannah and I can see the comments on Facebook, and sometimes we can't because we are suspense authors. So why not have some suspense in your day? So I see Diane and I see Grace from Chile, Ottawa, and Tracy Clark, whose book we read a couple of weeks ago, and that is great. Diane is here on Instagram, and the fabulous Glennie. So we are lucky to have you all. We're so pleased to see you. Lynn is here, and Cathy Ace is here. Perfect timing, Cathy, because we are reading from Cathy's Agatha Christie-esque locked room mystery, The Corpse with the Crystal Skull, and that is Jamaica on this gorgeous pinky blue tropical Caribbean cover, and we are so thrilled to read from Cathy's book today. Can you hear? Hi, Donna from cold Cleveland, and Brenda and Madonna from Canada. Lots of Canada contingent here today. Jen Jumba is watching today with her mom. Welcome, Mom. Welcome, Mom Jumba. It's so much fun to have Jen's mom. Jen, don't listen for a second. Jen's mom, let me tell you that Jen does so much for all of us, readers and writers, and we cannot live without her. So I hope you are as proud of her as you should be, and I know you love her as much as we do. Probably more, maybe, since you're her mom. But she does so much for this community, and she is such a stalwart here at First Chapter Fun as well, one of our very first listeners. So we embrace Jen, and we're so thrilled that she has brought you with her here today. Yay for Jen Jumba's mom. Judy Rose is here, and Cathy Ace is saying, what a lovely bunch of people here. We just watched, my husband and I just watched My Fair Lady the other night, and it's of course it's gorgeous, and Audrey Hepburn is beautiful, and Marnie Nixon singing in it. I can't help but think about her lip syncing, Audrey Hepburn. I'm not quite sure now about the ending. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the way that My Fair Lady ends, but it's in the past. Jen Jumba says she is blushing, and that was my total goal. So welcome, 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 all of you, to First Chapter Fun today, where we are going to be reading The Corpse with the Crystal Skull by the fabulous Cathy Ace, who is a dear pal and really a terrific person and a wonderful author and such a stalwart and so great. Do you hear, let me ask you all though, do you hear in the background, hi Anissa, do you hear in the background this kind of rumble? I'm going to be quiet for a second to see if you can hear it. Can you hear it at all? That is 6 fans in our basement, which the cleanup guys had to install yesterday because the water heater broke and gushed 30 gallons of water on our basement floor. So the water heater, Diane saying, I hear it. Yeah, it's just this rumble that's been going on. So the water heater guy had to come fix the water heater, and then the cleanup people had to come clean up the water that was left. It was not a pretty sight. And I'll never forget my husband's face when he came upstairs yesterday morning and said, "The water heater went." And this is just like, oh my golly, welcome to the time of COVID, right? This is like, what could go wrong? Well, there's something could go wrong. The water heater could open and gush onto the basement floor. Luckily, and I know you're thinking about what's on your basement floor, luckily, knock on wood, nothing was hurt. Everything is raised up from the floor and it's concrete. It's not like it's a beautiful finished basement with carpeting and televisions and all that sort of stuff. But nevertheless, it's all fine now, but if you hear the rumbling in the background, yeah, Joseph Reed Books is here. We read his departure on Monday, which is such a good book. But yeah, that's the fun around here in snowy Boston, is the broken water heater. But it's all fixed and it's all fine. But I just wanted you to know that was the rumble. So welcome, welcome, welcome you all to hear The Corpse with the Crystal Skull by the fabulous Cathy Ace. Brenda Gaskell is saying that is a horrible experience. Yeah, it is a horrible experience. I mean, it's not as horrible as it might have been. It might have been, feet of water in a finished basement. So this is what I was telling my husband. It's not as bad as it might have been. And people came and fixed it, and it's all fine. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to read. You're going to read here on First Chapter Fun. You're going to hear on Instagram, here on Facebook, the first chapter of a fantastic new book every Tuesday and Thursday. And because you're here, you already know that. But bring your friends. Jen Jumba today brought her mom in the sweetest thing that's ever happened. And I hope you'll all bring your friends as well. Hannah and I are building this community of readers and writers, and we have all learned to discover new books together. And we have so much fun doing it. So we welcome you with a fond embrace and open arms. Jacqueline is saying, Brenda's saying it's happened at my house. Yeah, I know. It's pretty bad. So sister, you and me. Cat Law is here saying it's cold in Illinois, and Helene, whose book we will be reading soon, is saying she's ready to be swept away by the gorgeous Cathy Ace and her wonderful Corpse with the Crystal Skull. So let me tell you, we have been through the techno stuff today, but let me tell you already that if Instagram decides to bail on us and Facebook decides to bail on us, don't worry, I will come back and read again. Hannah, Mary McKinnon, and I will always do that for you, so you will never miss a wonderful first chapter. So let me tell you a bit about the fabulous Cathy Ace. Cathy Ace's Welsh-Canadian criminal psychologist and foodie sleuth Cait Morgan encounters traditional closed circle whodunits around the world, while her wise Enquiries agency mysteries feature a quartet of soft-boiled female PIs who solve quintessentially British cases from their office at a stately home in Wales. And ask Cathy in the comments, what does WISE, the WISE agency, ask her what that stands for, because that's such a brilliant idea. Her standalone novel of psychological suspense, The Wrong Boy, became an Amazon #1 bestseller. Shortlisted for Canada's Blythe Award 3 times in 4 years, winning in 2015, she's also won an Ippy Award and has been shortlisted for an Arthur Ellis Award. Very big deal. Cathy lives in Canada, having migrated from her native Wales at age 40. So very brave, whole new world, and I'm sure you're having a great time in Canada, but that is quite the change. We are here with Take the Day Off to Read, just joined. Hooray. And Cathy's website, as Hannah is saying, www.cathyace.com. And you can find Cathy on Twitter at Cathy Ace1, at Cathy Ace1 on Insta and Twitter. And on Facebook at Cathy Ace Author, but you know that you can find her. Go to her website, cathyace.com, and you can connect with her all you like. So let me tell you about The Corpse with the Crystal Skull, which you can get right now, which we read with kind permission of Cathy Ace and the publisher. We are so honored that she gave us the responsibility to read from her book today. Let me tell you a little bit about The Corpse with the Crystal Skull. Welsh-Canadian globe-trotting sleuth and professor of criminal psychology Cait Morgan is supposed to be celebrating her 50th birthday in Jamaica with her ex-husband, Bud Anderson. But when the body of the luxury estate's owner is discovered, locked inside an inaccessible tower, Cait and her fellow guests must work out who might have killed him, even if his murder seems impossible. Could the death of the man who hosted parties in the 1960s, attended by Ian Fleming and Noel Coward, be somehow linked to the treasure the legendary Captain Henry Morgan might have buried at the estate? Or to the mission Bud and his Secret Service colleagues have been sent to the island to undertake? Isn't that the perfect setup? Cathy Ace's books have been compared to Agatha Christie by Library Journal, and it is just like that. So you know, if you're reading an Agatha Christie book, so often what will happen is people will gather at a place, and in the first chapter you'll be introduced to the characters and the setting, and then something will happen, and that is exactly what's going to happen in this book. So let me read this to you. The Corpse with the Crystal Skull by Cathy Ace. And it starts breakfast and a body, which is not the best way to start the day. Okay. The conversation around the breakfast table was understandably muted. We'd all had a late night, and I, for one, was feeling the effects of a few too many G&Ts. My darling husband, Bud, surveyed the food arranged on the mahogany sideboard with bleary eyes. His more salt than pepper hair was still damp from the shower, but he was already sweating through his shirt. May in Jamaica can be exhaustingly humid. Anybody want another mango or this last piece of banana bread? Bud's tone lacked enthusiasm. John Silver shook his head above his coffee cup, then scrunched his eyes, suggesting he wished he hadn't made such a rash move. Thanks, no, he croaked, with a polite smile I read as a grimace. He looked tired, wiped out, in fact. I'd first met him when he'd helped out with a family matter in Amsterdam that Bud and I had been looking into less than a year earlier. Back then he'd looked vigorous and in his prime. Now he'd aged a lot. I wondered why. Maybe it was work-related. I'm still not entirely sure what he does. He somehow provides coordination between a number of Secret Service operations around the world. Lots of opportunities there for stress, I'd have thought. He looked as though he needed the week-long break he was just beginning with us. Anyone fancy a Caesar? Bud's ex-colleagues Jack forced a smile. They'd served together in the Vancouver Police Department for years, forging a friendship that had endured beyond their respective retirements. Jack glanced at his wife with a wink, rubbed a hand through his rapidly thinning hair, and groaned. Sheila tutted and wagged a friendly finger at her husband. No alcohol for you for a while, dear, I think. I sighed. I may never drink again. A subdued chorus echoed my sentiment. I gulped some juice. Sadly, it was far from cold. Even at 9 in the morning, the dining room was already stifling, and the ice in my glass had melted quickly. Overall, I was enjoying the faded grandeur of the big house at the heart of the private estate we'd rented. The colonial-style building was a symphony of white walls, dark hardwood floors and beams, and furnishings upholstered in scrambled egg-hued chintz with bottle green palm fronds. Occasionally, the breezes wafted through the openings in the walls, which housed dark-wood jalousies with slats that could be shuttered against the weather. However, I yearned for the luxury of air conditioning. The 2 large ceiling fans above the dining room table were turning as fast as they could, but the result was about as refreshing as using a hairdryer in a sauna. Luckily, our private bungalows on the estate were so compact they had better through drafts than the main house. Bud came to sit at the end of the gleaming mahogany table beside me. I closed my eyes as his chair scraped across the floor. It didn't help. Will Lottie be joining us? Bud sounded almost cheery. Every bloodshot eye in the room turned slowly toward John Silver, who replied, She was taking a shower when I left. He checked his watch. A long shower by the looks of it. I dare say she'll be along in a bit. I suspect she'll be in better shape than any of us, I ventured. Good morning, all. What a beautiful day. It looks like it's going to be sunny at last. Charlotte Fortescue, Lottie to her friends, waltzed into the dining room in a swirl of periwinkle silk chiffon, bouncing blonde curls, and a waft of fruity perfume. She looked irritatingly fresh, which I put down to her being about 30, whereas I'd turned 50 a couple of weeks earlier, hence the festivities the previous night. Of course, that hadn't been the original plan at all. Initially, Bud and I were supposed to be alone at the captain's lookout estate on the northern coast of Jamaica for an entire month. Then Bud had somehow managed to invite Jack and Sheila to join us for a fortnight. Then he'd also gone and asked John and his +1 to come along for our final week. Fortunately, I'd been alone with my husband for my big day. That had been my choice, and Bud had understood. At least he said he'd understood. The fact that one specific day or date makes a difference to a person's life is something I'm happy to acknowledge to myself and even to Bud. But to have to party to order? No, not for me, really. Besides, I knew that 50 was a significant age, and I hadn't been looking forward to becoming it at all. Once you hit 50, it's almost impossible to convince yourself there's more of your life ahead of you than behind. And that's a difficult pill to swallow. Sheila and Jack White had arrived about a week ago, and they'd busied themselves with all the standard tourist trips, marveling at the sandy beaches, ogling magnificent waterfalls, being punted along a winding river, and wondering at all the water sports that seemed to enthrall so many. I have no idea what's so inviting about being bounced across the ocean on a giant banana, but apparently it's all the rage. It had been agreed on that we'd wait until John and Lottie had completed our party to, well, party. Last night's belated birthday celebrations had left me feeling crumpled and haggard, bleakly realizing that the passing years make a heck of a lot of difference when it comes to recovering from a long night of overindulgence. A feeble chorus of good mornings acknowledged Lottie's arrival. She kissed John on the top of his slightly balding head, then all but skipped to the buffet dishes. I focused on my juice, so I didn't have to see her gratingly lithe back wriggling about beside the fruit plates. When the wailing reached our ears, we all turned toward the French doors. Amelia Labadie rushed into the dining room from the lush tropical garden beyond. She held on to the door frame to support herself as she caught her breath. Usually smiling above her immaculate cobalt and white striped dress, the woman who had been our cook, cleaner, and server during our stay was surprisingly disheveled. Sweat was trickling down her face, and her braided hair had tumbled from its topknot. Bud, Jack, and John were all out of their seats in seconds. I put down the last bit of banana bread and felt the energy in the room shift seismically. "What's wrong, Amelia?" asked Bud. "Mr. Freddy. Him on floor, up in the tower. I see him through the keyhole. There be a lot of blood. I think him. She collapsed into John's arms. "Oh, I say," was all Lottie Fortescue could manage. Sheila White's "damn it" was more succinct. Isn't that so great? So now they found the body, or whatever Amelia found. And I mean, it's just so great. You know, we are carried right into this story, aren't we, right now? We understand the rhythm of this. We understand the setting. We understand here are the characters. Here are the players. Here is a locked room that no one could get into. And we cannot wait to find out what happens in The Corpse with the Crystal Skull. Such a fun book to read. How many of you are Agatha Christie fans? I remember reading Agatha Christie when I was a girl, reading Murder on the Orient Express, and just thinking that was wonderful, and thinking how fabulous it would be to write a book like that where you could lure people in and fool them and set up an impossible situation like this, right? An impossible situation that has to be solved. And that is why Cathy Ace is who she is. She can write a perfect locked room mystery, and The Corpse with this Crystal Skull should be right on your list. This is Hannah Mary McKinnon's and my big world domination goal is to get your TBR list toppling, 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 and this should be right on the top of your toppling pile. So, did you love it? Did you not love it? Madonna saying, love Agatha. My husband read everything. Glennie is saying, sounds great. Glennie says, yes to Agatha Christie. Susan says, sound great. Kat Law says, I love Agatha Christie books. Sylvia is saying, great read. Hank, oh, that's so nice. Helena is saying, yes, we want to turn the page. And isn't that the key? The end of the first chapter means you can't wait to get to the next chapter. Jen saying she and her mom loved it. Yay, Jen's mom, and yay, Jen, that's great. Joseph Reed. And Lisa is, Joseph Reed has hearts. We love getting hearts. And Lisa Wetzel is saying, da da da, which of course is so fun. You know, that's in our brain now, isn't it? When something suspenseful happens. Susan Hanson Holt says, oh yes. Susan Fibush Brown says, fantastic. Jacqueline says, more, more, more. Oh my goodness. Cathy Ace says, thanks for a fabulous reading. Oh my goodness. You know, it's so scary to read for you authors. You know, we know how much you put into these books and how much the intonation and the cadence and the rhythm of reading it matters with parallel construction and the timing. And, you know, we just, you know, Hannah and I really try to do it well. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your kind words. So that was kind of a short chapter, wasn't it? And we're sort of not to 1 o'clock yet, but hey, we are so pleased that you are here this afternoon, and we hope you will come back for more. And if you're saying, well, Hank, what are you going to read next week? I can tell you that. We are reading Amy Gentry's, on Tuesday, Amy Gentry's Bad Habits. Look at that sinister black, white, and red cover. Amy Gentry has this fantastic cover, a best-selling author. Let me show you that again without the little message at the top, right? And this is a fantastic sort of look beneath the world of academia, where there are rival professors and lots of politics, and someone from the past comes back to threaten our heroine. Or maybe she's not our heroine. We never know. You know, with Amy Gentry books, it's going to be a puzzle at every turn. So today, we hope you love the first chapter of Corpse with a Crystal Skull. And Tuesday, do come back and hear, let me get rid of that. Come on, sweetheart. Do come back and hear Bad Habits from Amy Gentry. You will love this, I promise. And then until then, with the rumbling in the background, stay safe, stay kind, and we, Hannah Mary McKinnon and I, will see you on Tuesday. Take care.